Have you ever watched your car get towed during your aunt's funeral while a dozen off-duty cops in uniform munch on egg salad and stare in stunned silence? No, just me, then. It was supposed to be a quiet farewell, a somber, flower-scented affair where people shed polite tears, and maybe someone recalled Aunt Rita's obsession with alien abductions and disco dancing. Instead, it turned into the moment Lisa Carter became the reluctant star of a tale so ridiculous it'd be retold over backyard grills for years. She dressed meticulously that morning, black velvet, floor-length coat, and a hat with feathers bold enough to spook a flock of crows. Some mourn in silence. Lisa mourned with flair. She arrived late, naturally. Her mascara kept smudging, and she wasn't about to bury Rita looking unfinished. Screeching into the church lot, ignoring the funeral parking-only signs and a few judgmental glares, she slammed her car door and strutted through the rain in 6-inch heels like the storm owed her an apology. She slipped in just in time to miss the opening hymn, interrupting the pastor mid-dash, dust to dust. A few heads turned. Lisa waved them off like she was shooing a fly. She slid into the third row with the drama of a reality TV star, dabbing a single crocodile tear and adjusting her posture. There, amid the hush, she felt the weight of the moment. Rita had been a character, eccentric, theatrical, maybe a pack rat, but she'd been Lisa's rock. She'd stood by her through her second divorce, called every Christmas even when Lisa dodged the family, and once drove 3 hours to chew out a mechanic who'd mocked her boots. That woman deserved a dignified send-off. Lisa was lost in thought when, through the stained glass window, she spotted him, a guy in cargo pants and a neon vest circling her car like a shark. He held a clipboard, never a good sign. Was he writing a ticket? She stood, ignoring the murmurs, and stormed outside. "Excuse me." "Hey," she shouted, heels sinking into the soggy lawn. The man turned, mid-20s, twitchy, with a mustache that screamed, "I tattle to HR for sport." "This is a no-parking zone on Tuesdays," he said, pointing to a sign half hidden by vines. "HOA rules. I'm authorized to tow." Lisa stared like he'd just thrown a fish in her face. "This is a funeral. My aunt's dead. You think she's gonna move the car?" "Sorry for your loss," he replied, monotone, already muttering into his walkie-talkie. But rules are rules. Lisa didn't deck him, credit where it's due. She inhaled sharply, corset pinching, and snapped, "What's your name?" "Chad, HOA Patrol Unit 5. "Not a cop? Not even a mall cop?" "No, ma'am." "Then put that clipboard down before I shove it somewhere creative." As she fumbled for her phone to call for backup, a tow truck growled into view. Her jaw hit the ground. "You called a tow?" The church doors swung open. Out marched a line of uniformed figures, some in crisp dress blues, others half unbuttoned, all baffled. Aunt Rita had been on the force for 25 years. Half the mourners were cops, retired or off-duty. They gaped at Lisa, Chad, and the glaring yellow tow truck like it was a circus act. Officer Torres, broad-shouldered, perpetually annoyed, strode over, coffee in hand. "What's this nonsense?" Chad, voice wobbling, said, "Vehicles violating Code 3.9.1, subsection, you're towing a car at a cop's funeral, surrounded by cops?" Torres's eyebrow arched so high it nearly vanished. Chad gulped. "The HOA has jurisdiction. This is church property," Torres cut in. "But it's within HOA limits, and you're within punching range." "Your point." Lisa smirked, arms crossed, thrilled to have backup. "Thank you, someone with a badge and sense." The tow driver, a jittery guy with a neck tattoo reading "No Fears," hesitated. Should I hook it?" Torres turned, slow as a predator. "Touch that car, and you'll be towing your own jaw." More cops trickled out, some filming, one streaming. Lisa struck a subtle pose, just in case. Chad flipped through his HOA manual like it'd save him. Then came the kicker. Diane, HOA president, rolled up in a silver golf cart decked out with HOA stickers like a dictator's parade float. Mirrored shades, beige blazer, radiating control freak vibes, she hopped off. "What's happening here?" Lisa glared. "Let me guess, Chad's boss." "I'm the elected authority of this community." "Then you should be unelected." Diane adjusted her shades. "That car's in violation of common decency," Lisa shot back. Chad whispered to Diane, eyeing the growing cop crowd. Her face stayed stone. She marched to Torres. I don't care how many badges are here. The HOA has rules. Torres leaned in. Try towing it, and you'll enforce those rules from a jail cell. Lisa grinned. Hear that, Diane? Maybe park your golf cart legally before it's next. The priest, trailing out with a bewildered look, muttered about divine chaos. The tow truck backed off, Chad retreated, and Diane's shade slipped, revealing a blink of defeat. Lisa whipped out her phone, starting a note. Reasons I'd run the HOA better. That night, Lisa barely slept. Rain, adrenaline, and the absurdity replaying in her mind kept her wired. By morning, she lay staring at the ceiling, wondering how Chad even got power, even HOA power, and Diane, queen of the cul-de-sac, ruling her cart like a warlord. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Family, strangers, all reacting to a video of the fiasco posted to a local Facebook group. In hours, it had 300 shares, thumbnail showing Lisa jabbing a manicured finger at Chad, captioned, "She lost it at her aunt's funeral, and then this happened." By 8 a.m., her kitchen hummed. Her sister, Sarah, not evil Diane, but good Sarah, sipped coffee, scrolling comments. Lisa's husband, Mike, had fled to work, dodging the chaos that tailed the sisters like a shadow. Lisa poured coffee, added vanilla creamer, and took a theatrical gulp. "This is insane," she said, massaging her temples. "I just wanted to bury Rita, not spark a revolt." Sarah smirked. "Lisa, you yelled at the HOA in front of 20 cops at a funeral, wearing a hat that could double as a bird's nest. And I was still the sanest one there," Lisa grumbled. "Also, it was peacock feathers, thank you." A knock. Lisa peeked out. Chad, clipboard clutched like a shield. She opened the door, leaning casually. "What?" Chad didn't flinch. "Miss Carter, I'm delivering this." He handed over an envelope. "It's a notice for your HOA disciplinary hearing. Violations include obstructing space, harassing an HOA officer, and disrupting a registered event." Lisa blinked. "You mean my aunt's funeral?" "Correct. Plus parking outside lines for over 20 minutes. You towed my car during a funeral, and now I'm too emotional." Chad said nothing. She snatched the envelope and slammed the door. Sarah, still on her phone, said, "They're calling you Casket Lisa online. Better spell it with AC." Lisa muttered, tearing open the letter. Her jaw dropped. "If I skip this hearing, it's a $2,500 fine and no pool access. What am I, 10? Sarah grinned. "Go to the hearing." "Why?" "To get jumped by clipboard goons. If you don't, they win. If you do, you make them sweat and maybe dig deeper. This HOA stinks worse than Chad's aftershave." Lisa reread the letter. "Fine, but I'm not going solo." By afternoon, Lisa had a squad. Torres, who'd threatened to deck Chad, signed on as a witness. So did Big Jim, Rita's old partner, a retired sergeant who'd started annotating the HOA bylaws for kicks. Lisa also recruited her neighbor, Tina, who hated Diane over a fine, offensive garden gnome. The hearing day loomed like a storm. Lisa dressed to kill, tailored suit, hair sleek, nails lethal. The community clubhouse, usually for potlucks, now felt like a petty tyrant's court. Lisa strode in with her crew, who sat behind her like a posse. Diane sat at the head, flanked by two sour-faced board members. Chad hovered, less cocky, especially when Big Jim gave him a stare that could sour milk. The hearing kicked off with a laundry list of charges. Lisa's eye roll echoed. As Diane read a pompous spiel about community standards, Lisa raised a hand. "Question." Diane snapped. "You'll speak later." Lisa stood anyway. "The board should know your employee Chad's been cozy with a tow guy named Rick Malone." The room tensed. "I've got witnesses and emails showing kickbacks from the tow company to Chad, including a dumb text about splitting fees and a free tire rotation." Chad went scarlet. "Those were jokes." Big Jim rose. "I don't joke about fraud." Chad clammed up. Diane waved it off. "Unrelated, very related," Lisa said, stepping up. "My car wasn't about rules, it was profit." Torres dropped a folder with a thud. "We're looking into it. Cooperate, or the next meeting's in court." Lisa sat, whispering, "Game over, Han." The war wasn't done, but Lisa had struck first and hard.